Good morning, everyone. Josh's Severe Weather. Happy Sunday morning to you. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about Beryl, which is beginning to strengthen on its final approach to the middle Texas coast this morning, with re-strengthening to hurricane strength expected here in the next 24 hours, and maybe some quick intensification, which I really hope doesn't catch anybody off guard here. I know forecasts have been pretty consistent on this now, so we're going to talk about what to expect next between wind and surge and rain and even severe weather out of this storm. So thank you for joining me this morning. Here's a look at the tropics real quick, and then we'll focus on Beryl. And you can see this is our storm system here in the Western Gulf approaching the Texas coastline. Elsewhere, the tropics are fairly quiet. We've got an upper level low spinning off the coast of Florida and closer to Bermuda, not expected to develop. And the remains of what was an invest, just a tropical wave moving through the Western Caribbean. Elsewhere, a little bit of moisture here across the islands here, a little bit more rain coming to areas that are cleaning up from the storm last week. And then just some showers and storms coming off of Africa into an unfavorable environment for development. So the good news is behind Beryl, things are going to quiet down quite a bit here in the next couple of days. Here's a closer look at the Caribbean. Showers and storms towards Central America, but Beryl is really the only system in play here that we've got to be concerned with. We've got a front draped across the eastern United States. We're going to see more areas of showers and storms today across portions of the Carolinas and Southeast. That'll cut down on the heat. The humidity, though, should stay pretty high today. And then taking a look farther off into the Atlantic, fairly quiet here. You can see pretty stable air in place over the central Atlantic. A lot of stratus here coming in from the northeast, indicating stable air is in place. And that's great news for us as we can catch our breath here from Beryl. All right, here's a look at Beryl, and you'll notice that the storm underwent a transformation yesterday at weekend. It had a rough night Friday night after it came off of the Yucatan, encountered some wind shear, some drier air off to the south and west. Now the storm is finally fighting back. It took over a day to start to get kind of her organization back. I don't know if I should say it or her. Beryl's a female name, so I don't know these days. But you can see Beryl is definitely getting more of that look to it, where it's going to be strengthening here in the next 24 hours. If this were going to be spending more time over the water, I would be a lot more concerned with this becoming a major hurricane, but the speed and the timing of this has sped up to where the landfall is going to be in less than 24 hours now, and it will still strengthen and be at its strongest point in the Gulf as it's hitting land somewhere here on the middle Texas coast, probably eyeing this area in here between Port O'Connor and, say, Freeport or the western side of the Galveston Island area, most likely somewhere in here. But the storm is beginning to grow again. You can see the cooling of the cloud tops, a more central, dense overcast, and all this dry air that's been wrapping around into the storm is finally getting fought off here by some growing outflow. So we've got a spot where this system is going to grow, and I think everybody's kind of been expecting that. I've been talking about it for a few days now. And you can see on the radar, we still have somewhat of an opening to the north, but we're starting to see kind of a core redevelop here in its final hours. The storm system is going to continue to track this way. It'll make the right bend and move kind of due north here overnight tonight, and then start to move more to the north-northeast after landfall tomorrow. We are going to see bands of heavy rain and gusty winds moving onshore deep South Texas. So places like South Padre Island, Port Isabel, Port Mansfield, even Brownsville, we'll see some bursts of heavy rain. But I think you guys are just kind of getting the rough surf and just kind of the feeder bands of this. You're not getting really the core of the storm, as was predicted a few days ago. The core of that storm is heading more up towards the middle coast of Texas. We do need to watch some of these bands as they come onshore into southeast Texas and even southwest Louisiana overnight tonight. There will be somewhat of an increase in wind shear and perhaps a threat for a couple of tornadoes as well during the overnight hours. The visible satellite is just trickling in now, so it's a little tough to see Beryl, but you can see here as I stop this for you, just getting light out here in the Western Gulf, 6:42 Central Time. You can see what looks to be a healthier system than this time yesterday. You can see some pretty intense towers going up on the northeast side, and then this band right here of what will produce some heavy rain, some gusty winds, and create dangerous hazards to those that may be out on boats or on oil platforms this morning. So that's something I am mindful of, praying for the safety of everybody that does have to work out over the Gulf. I was waiting for a 7 a.m. here. It hasn't come in yet, but you can see wind speeds were 60 miles per hour at 4. I'm thinking they're coming up now, and we're seeing intensification. There is a plane that's into the system right now, and it has not gotten and sampled into the northeastern portion of the storm. You can see right now it's centered at about 25.4 north and 94.8 west, generally speaking, moving kind of north-northwesterly. The strongest winds are over in here. The plane has not gotten in there to see how strong they are. Probably not quite yet a hurricane, but the one thing I will mention to you guys that the pressure, which this time yesterday was close to 1,000 millibars, has now dropped to where it's about 989 or 990 millibars. There's possibly this being a little bit oversampled, but the pressure is dropping now, which typically occurs in a strengthening storm. So the pressure is probably going to continue to drop, and then the winds will catch up to it, where after the winds drop, or after the pressure drops, it increases the gradient and allows winds to increase as a result. And while we still have a tropical storm this morning, we are probably going to be dealing with a hurricane by this evening. Here is the track of Hurricane Beryl over time here. You can see it's picked up 33 points of ACE. My prediction this season was for 250, which is extreme. But this is about a third of what you would get in just a normal hurricane season, a third to a quarter. And in fact, the average ACE by the beginning of September, and we've already made that up with just one storm. So a very active season expected. You can see it's fortunate that this system has been a tropical storm for more than a day, but it still has the opportunity to strengthen here. And the official forecast from the Hurricane Center is for a Category 1 storm at landfall around 4 to 5 in the morning here near Matagorda Bay, and then weakening as it accelerates to the north and east into the westerlies here across the Great Lakes region. But with landfalling systems, yes, we've got to worry about wind and flooding and heavy rain and storm surge, but inland, we also have to worry about potential severe weather, flooding, and gusty winds as well. Looking to see if we have a 7 a.m. advisory yet. It's probably going to go out after I get to it, but I may come back here real quick for you guys. Rain potential here, close to a foot of rain expected here on the Texas coast. This does put Houston in an area where flooding will be a potential issue. This is not another Allison or Hurricane Harvey. It's going to be moving pretty quickly, but it will bring a lot of rain to it. And the Houston area, Galveston, Freeport, Brazoria, all in a spot to see some very heavy rain, as well as some severe weather. And inland flooding will be a potential issue as well here across East Texas, mainly near College Station up to about Tyler, right into the Arklatex, even all the way up to St. Louis and into central portions of Illinois and Indiana, which you do need rainfall, so this will help. Although the areas actually that need the rain more are going to kind of miss out on this, it looks like. Storm surge forecast, 4 to 6 feet of surge will put people in danger at the coastline, especially around Matagorda Bay up to near Galveston Bay. San Luis Pass is kind of the point where the surge starts to drop a little bit, but even 1 to 3 foot storm surge into Cameron Parish, Louisiana, and right here into Sabine Pass as well. And farther down on the Texas coast, very rough surf, 2 to 4 feet of surge is expected from Baffin Bay down to the mouth of the Rio Grande. May see some surge as well in northeastern Mexico. Now, in the path of this storm system is some very warm water. The storm right now in this area and here, or actually, let me recircle that because I was wrong. Kind of in this area and here is going to be heading in this direction into some of the warmest waters in the Gulf of Mexico. These water temperatures are sitting at 30.5 to 32 degrees Celsius. That's 87 to 90 Fahrenheit. So, and it's fairly shallow water as well. The Campeche or the Yucatan Shelf here had the cooler waters. The storm went over the cooler water. Now it's heading into the warmest waters it's going to see since the Eastern Caribbean. And that is going to certainly come into play here as we see a pretty steady amount of intensification. Our storm track pretty well clustered on our models now. Still a chance this could shift a little bit to the right or left, but generally speaking, Matagorda Bay or just east of Matagorda Bay, maybe as far east as Freeport, Texas here, with landfall expected early in the day on Monday, then weakening as the system moves inland and turns to the right. But you can see pretty good agreement. This model, all the models take it up into southeast Missouri, into southern and central Illinois, central Indiana, eventually merging with a system here in the Great Lakes. It won't really be identifiable at that point. The intensity forecast is still a challenge here, and this is the one thing that models have struggled with throughout the life of the storm. It's how much does it weaken, how much does it re-strengthen? They all show strengthening, with the exception of this UK map model, which I'm not going to buy into. They all show strengthening, but the question mark is how much strengthening and how quickly. The official forecast is actually at the high end this time. Typically, the Hurricane Center has been playing catch up, but they are holding on to that strengthening trend. And there's still a chance, as this comes in, that maybe it goes a little bit higher, even up to Category 2. I don't think we're talking Category 3. At this point, we'd have to have a hurricane for that to happen. But, you know, I've seen crazy things happen in the Northern Gulf in the last couple of years, really the last couple of decades, and I would not completely rule it out. The SHIPS model shows a 2 to 3 times the average climatological average rate of intensification here. So, you know, anything can still really happen, but the odds of this becoming a major hurricane are super slim. I think Category 1 is most likely, Category 2 is possible, and low end Category 3 would be kind of the ceiling at this point. The reason why we are going to start to see wind shear picking up, this is going to move over land, and it's going to lose its moisture source as it moves into Texas. But nonetheless, a strengthening storm is one that we definitely have to be a little bit more concerned with than a weakening storm, because it will have more momentum as it comes into the coastline and cause more problems, and hold on a little bit stronger as it's moving inland. Just like a spinning top, when it hits a wall, it's still going to spin, although it will slow down, versus one that stops spinning. All right, here's a look at the NAM to show you what the satellite's going to look like, and you can see how it blows up here tonight and grows. I don't know if it's going to be quite this intense on the western side, but certainly you can see that core coming into Texas around 2 to 3 in the morning, and a well-defined eye on satellite that will still spin itself out into the morning hours tomorrow, bringing some heavy rain, tall thunderstorms, maybe severe weather here down into the Galveston Bay and even moving into Louisiana. But you will see the storm will be accelerating northeast. It's not going to hang out in Texas for a week like Harvey or Allison or any of those incredible storms did. It is moving off pretty quickly here, getting picked up by our trough. So that is the good news, if we have any. Here's a look at the satellite, or the relative humidity in the center, and you can see the pressure from the HWRF as of this morning's run has it dropping all the way to 969 millibars. So the HWRF is predicting the drop in about 25 millibars here in 24 hours, which is pretty intense and pretty much rapidly intensifying right up to landfall, and then pressures slowly come up as it moves over land. You can see still a pretty intense wind field here up at 700 millibars, indicating there's going to be some dynamics here in play for some strong wind gusts well inland, as well as maybe some tornadoes here on the front right quadrant or the northeast quadrant of the system as it moves northeast. It'll be a remnant low by the time it gets to the Ozarks region here Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and then we will see quite a dramatic shift as it gets picked up by our westerlies. The HAFS model shows, we'll learn to talk, shows our strongest winds coming in on the right side. Wind gusts may be approaching 95 miles per hour. Somewhere between Matagorda and Galveston, even hurricane force winds possible here on the western and southwest side of the Houston metro area. So if you're in Houston, even though this isn't probably not going to directly hit you, you are going to be on the side that gets all the nasty weather, including the strong gusty winds. So definitely prepare for power outages and dangerous conditions outdoors in Houston early in the day tomorrow before this lifts away during the afternoon. So you've got about a 12-hour period in the Houston area from about midnight to about noon tomorrow, where the winds are going to be at their strongest. Power outages will be likely, and then this will certainly move away quickly afterwards. We could still have some gusty winds, though, as it moves up into the Ohio Valley here Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Even on the backside, the HAFS indicates there'll be kind of a northwesterly jet that brings wind gusts over 40, maybe even 50 miles per hour to portions of Illinois. So we could see power outages all the way up close to the Great Lakes. Here's another HAFS model kind of showing the same thing. This one's a little farther down the coast. This one is showing wind gusts that could get up to 123 miles per hour over water and close to 100 at the coast. So it's predicting a Category 2 hurricane. And certainly that's a possibility. It does take the strongest winds west of Houston, though, which would be better news for them, but still brings tropical storm to maybe hurricane conditions to the Houston area. And then you can see it's going to weaken significantly as it moves inland. And finally, the European model, kind of a happy medium, showing wind gusts in the Houston area, generally 60 to 65 miles per hour, higher amounts at the coastline over 70 miles per hour. So power outages will be likely. We may even see those across northeastern Texas here tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night, even potentially gusts close to hurricane force in places like Tyler and Longview. So certainly something we're going to be watching very closely. Every little shift will matter with this system. you can see that we've got a very intense cyclone and trough moving through the central U.S. That's going to draw our system Beryl here to the north and east. We've got some heavier showers and storms in the southern plains. So this heavy rain moves through Oklahoma, and then this heavy rain moves up into the Great Lakes region here. Severe weather, also a potential problem here, which I'm going to kind of wrap up for you guys here in the next few slides. Here you can see RRFS model. So there's a storm coming up here. You can kind of see this area here, this kind of northeast quadrant and even into the southeast quadrant where we are going to have kind of discrete cells that come through here. It may look a little bit like a strong mid-latitude cyclone. We have to keep an eye on maybe some locally strong storms in Louisiana as well. The time frame on this is tomorrow afternoon. We get some heating of the day with it, but we could have tornadoes early in the morning, early in the day across southeastern Texas. This is going to lift off to the north and east. Still some severe weather possibility here east of the track across eastern Arkansas, the Boot Heel into the Quad State region over here. Here's a look at our maximum helicity. All of the severe weather up here is totally unrelated to our storm, but what you'll see, some lifting motion, a couple of areas we need to watch here for potential tornadoes and strong winds, mainly southeast Texas, western and northern Louisiana, and then tomorrow across Arkansas early in the day, and then lifting up into the Missouri and Ohio valleys as we get to early in the day on Tuesday. Here's a look at potential radar here for southeast Texas. We may have a couple of tornado warnings overnight tonight. Definitely supercell type storms, although they'll be low topped and pretty brief. Here's our main system moving into the Houston area, 8, 9, 10 in the morning tomorrow. Rain should start to let up early in the afternoon. Severe weather then shifts to Lufkin, Beaumont, and maybe Lake Charles for the afternoon, and then winds down in the evening as our storm moves away. There could still be a little bit of moisture in place in Louisiana, but the dry slot gets into southeast Texas overnight tomorrow night. Looking at northeast Texas, obviously we've got a risk for heavy rain, gusty winds as well. And as you look and see, you've got kind of the front that moves into North Texas overnight. That will fade in the morning. Then we see our storm coming in from the south and could bring some high winds and certainly heavy rain and even severe weather with it here tomorrow during the afternoon. And then rain will leave the area tomorrow night and should dry out in the morning and feel better here for Tuesday. Here's a look at Louisiana. Individual cells we need to keep an eye on. This is with our approaching front. And then Beryl pushes forward, and you can see scattered showers and storms. Some of them could produce some tornadoes during the overnight hours in South Louisiana, and then into the morning tomorrow across southeastern Louisiana. Not a great risk for tornadoes, but one that we definitely have to watch. Here's a look at Arkansas as well real fast before I wrap things up. And you will see this is the front here overnight tonight, and then things wind down in the morning tomorrow, and then we see rain moving in from the southwest tomorrow night. And there could be a few tornado warnings with these cells moving through central Arkansas late tomorrow night and first thing on Tuesday. Rain potential is high with this system, although it is moving at 12 miles per hour, but potentially over a foot somewhere in East Texas, at least 5 inches for a lot of eastern Texas here. But we'll see local amounts that could be a lot higher. Oklahoma will get some needed rain, but that's not going to be from Beryl. That'll be from our storm that moves in. Here's a look at the European model showing the eventual track of this system over Arkansas here late tomorrow night, early on Tuesday morning, then Missouri and Illinois tomorrow evening, and then accelerating to the north and east across Indiana and Ohio and losing a lot of its tropical identity at this point, just looking like a typical summer storm as it moves into eastern Ohio and western PA. There may be a little severe weather. I don't think we're talking a major outbreak of tornadoes at this point. You will see showers and storms here coming in from the southwest. Here is what's coming up from Beryl. This is early in the morning on Tuesday. This is Tuesday around lunchtime. Tennessee Valley and Kentucky will have some storms, and then southern Indiana into southern Ohio here Tuesday night. But it's moving pretty quickly. We're only going to see a few hours of showers and storms here for the most part. Rain totals here will be beneficial, but there could be some flooding across Arkansas, Missouri, central and southern Illinois, central Indiana, and northwestern Ohio. Some places here could see as much as 6 inches of rain from the storm. Wanted to go back and see if we had an update from the Hurricane Center. And right now they're showing that the pressure has dropped to 992 millibars officially. They have not changed the sustained winds because they haven't measured them yet. But I do think we're going to be seeing a strong tropical storm later this morning and potentially a hurricane by this evening and a strengthening hurricane overnight in the final 12 hours before we see landfall. As always, I thank you all for your time today. I pray for everybody's safety with this storm. I'm glad it's not as bad as some of the ones we've seen in the northern Gulf, but I still think it could be very bad. Please share this with your friends in Texas and in the rest of the South and the Midwest. And as always, if you are new, please consider becoming a subscriber to my channel as I give you another update tomorrow morning and updates throughout the day as well. I want to give all the glory and thank Him, give God all the glory and thank Him for another day. Every day is a blessing from God. That is my true calling. It is to live out my God-given talent and abilities to bless other folks. And when Jesus talked to his disciples, the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, he told them that blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. And as a Christian, I know the world sees the Christian faith as one that is very exclusive, is very not as accepting of others who don't follow God's promises and laws. As a Christian, I can totally vouch for those folks. That is definitely the case. But if you really, truly want to be blessed, you need to do what Jesus says, and that is to be merciful to others, to love others, to create peace. Even though we are here to share our beliefs with others, if we are Christians, we are also here to help others and to accept them where they're at. For somebody to see higher ground, we need to find common ground first. And I pray that you are blessed in as many ways as I have been. I also pray that you are forgiving, that you operate in grace, and that you see the blessings that are given to us, because one day our time on earth will be gone, and we're going to have the option to accept Jesus as our Savior, to find that eternal treasure up in heaven, or to perish. And I pray that you choose the first of the two. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday, and be safe out there. See you soon.